As violent crime continues to surge throughout urban areas in the U.S., we are seeing the massive amounts of money, mostly coming from campaign dollars that lawmakers on Capitol Hill are spending on private security. And now some Democratic lawmakers who racked up tens of thousands of dollars on their own guards are still making calls to defund the police for you. Joining us right now, Washington insider Armstrong Williams. Armstrong, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jen.
So one of those lawmakers, Democratic Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush. Now, she is the lead author of a bill that would limit the encounters she says police would have by funding community systems that she says would be led by health officials to respond to mental health emergencies. What do you make of this as we see records that she spent nearly $70,000 for her own security detail?
I don't think that should surprise us, given the fact that there was a member of Congress who was shot during a baseball game when Democrats and Republicans were playing each other out on the mall. I think what is troubling is the hypocrisy. I do think that we find ourselves in an environment where a lot of lawmakers on both sides of the aisles feel threatened. And if you want to protect your security, because I would not want a member of Congress to lose their life or be injured as a result of not having adequate protection, but also understand that Americans in all communities should be afforded that same protection through law enforcement.
And you recently wrote an article addressing this very question. You wrote, America is effectively less safe than it was 5 years ago, and the group to blame for this unfolding tragedy is Democrats who have advocated for severely limiting police budgets, effectively taking away resources or officers to combat violent criminals. So as we see this hypocrisy, as we see violent crime rise, what do you make of states potentially moving away from this whole idea to defund the police and begin to reinvest in police departments? What role do you think this is going to play in the upcoming elections?
You know, Jan, the upheaval and the violence and the protests over the last couple of years have led people to come up with policies that some would consider to be foolish, defunding police, turning over to a community organization, mental health. But I think what is happening now is that many lawmakers, particularly Democrats, are beginning to see the errors and the foolishness of their ways, that you've got to find a better way to deal with rogue cops who hurt and kill innocent people for no reason at all. And you don't want to do it at the expense of crippling law enforcement to do their jobs in these communities. And I think you're hearing more and more from Portland and other places around the country that there's this echo chamber, even from the president, that we need to defund our police and at the same time make sure that police officers who don't uphold their oath to that office are punished, and you separate the two.
Well, in a recent town hall, President Biden was questioned about it. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Cops are having real trouble. They're not all bad guys. There are a lot of good guys. We need more policemen, not fewer policemen. But we need them involved in community policing. Community policing.
All right, Armstrong, is community policing the solution to the rise in crime that we're seeing? What would you suggest the Biden administration focus on to strengthen the relationship and also for everyday people to make them feel safe?
You know, we need to abandon this idea of community policing because it makes us all feel good. And what we need to do is focus deterrence policing, where you focus on these drug dealers, these gangs, the gun violence, specifically, and the same people commit these same crimes. So it should be focused deterrence policy. And also, Jan, something that nobody really wants to talk about are stricter alcohol policies. 40% of violent crimes in this country is due to alcohol, whether it's rape, whether it's violent murders, whether it's petty crime, it's due to alcohol. And sometimes what we need to consider is revoking the alcohol offender's right as a result of this. The other thing is, we have got to do this hot spot policy where we go in where we know these hot spots are. We need to have police deployed there because people have often talked about these. It consistently happens in these areas where crime takes place. So these are hot spots. The other thing that we need to do that we don't talk enough about, Jan, is that we need to raise the age of grade for these kids dropping out of school. We need to keep these kids in school longer. And last but not least, we need to eliminate the blighted housing. We need to clean up and repair because we know that when we eliminate this blighted housing, we get rid of this graffiti, crime moves away, gangs move away, and there's less crime. That's all across the country. So as we talk about the funding, as we talk about community policing, these are the things that we've found from Giuliani days, from across the country, that absolutely consistently works when it comes to policing and law enforcement.
All right, Armstrong Williams, we appreciate you joining us this morning here on the National Desk. Have a great week.
Thank you.